How's it going so far? I mean, really, after Lisa, if you are sleepy, Lisa wake you up. So amazing. So I'm going to introduce some very important people for our closing keynote, but they are so important that I have to have my notes. Okay. So our closing keynote is called The Future of Work, Thriving in an AI-Driven Career, The Human Advantage. This session brings together leaders who are shaping the future of work at the intersection of artificial intelligence and human potential. Our panelists represent a spectrum of expertise across technology, strategy, inclusion, innovation, offering invaluable perspectives on how individuals and organizations can not only adapt but also thrive in an AI-powered world. I am 100% sure this was written by ChatGPT. So, but we were running out of time, so we had to do what we had to do. Okay. The most important person that I'm going to introduce. How come I'm not seeing her here? Nasheen. Oh, Nasheen, the lady in red. She's amazing, and if you haven't met with her, you should go and connect with her. She's really the backbone, the front bone, or the legs that we are standing on today. She's behind everything at Women in AI. So Nasheen is a partner and senior vice president, CIO strategy at the IT Media Group, a tech leadership-centric media company. Nasheen oversees strategic initiatives impacting the Canadian tech executive community. She chairs a cross-industry CIO advisory board, offering guidance on compelling issues and topics for both CIOs and the IT vendors serving them. Nasheen, you want to come on stage while I introduce everyone? Yeah, that would be better.
Am I on? No. Yeah? No?
Yeah.
Yes? Okay. Well, thank you so much.
You're going to introduce the next people?
Sure, yeah. If you want me to.
Yes, sure.
Yeah? Okay. I have my, I'm on now.
Your mic? Okay.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. So it's my pleasure to moderate this last session and introduce our very esteemed panel of exceptional women. So first of all, when you look at the title of our session, The Future of Work, Thriving in an AI-Driven Career, and I think there's also another part that says Human Advantage. So it's definitely the longest title of the day. But what I want you to pay attention to are three words: work, AI, human, which was missing from here. And because those three things, they coexist today, and they will always coexist in the future. So without further ado, let me introduce our first speaker. So Monique Allen is the Senior Vice President and CIO for Canadian Technology and Global Enterprise Architecture and Digital Solutions with Sun Life. An award-winning leader and advocate for leadership in diversity, equity, and inclusion, Monique serves on a number of cause-driven boards. So Monique, come on up and join me. So our second speaker is Dorian Spears. Dorian is the principal of DeMille Global Strategy and Insight, where she specializes in helping teams and organizations build psychologically safe workplaces where everyone can thrive authentically. Thank you for joining us. And last but certainly not least, Noelle Russell. Noelle. She made it. Noelle is the founder of the AI Leadership Institute, and she empowers business owners to grow and scale with AI. She's named the #1 Agentic AI leader in 2025 and top 10 global thought leader in generative AI by Thinkers 360. So as you can see why I'm so excited. And you know what, just on a side note, I noticed the moderator so far has been taking that seat, and I was really hoping to take that one because that was my better side, but this is just fine.
Yeah, is that okay? Do you want me to move?
No, no, not at all.
I just feel like you're like one of us, not really a moderator at all. Like you're like, yes.
Thank you so much.
Just join the conversation.
Yeah, indeed. So after a day of insight and inspiration, we're closing out the session with a conversation that brings it all home. And that is what it actually takes to not just survive, but thrive in a world shaped by AI. So this session will focus on the deeply personal and practical side of AI application. And that is the evolving definition of human agency and skills, and how we cultivate them and build workplaces that reflect a future that we want to live in. A future, like Renee said in the morning keynote, that is human-centric and AI augmented. So we already did the intro, but I figured people can read your bios and impressive LinkedIn profile, and let's start with something that's actually memorable. So afterwards, during the networking session, they can come to you with some fun fact. But here's the catch. You can only share it with 6 words or less. Something that's really interesting and fun about yourself. So Monique, go.
Oh, I thought this was supposed to be at the end. I'm like, 6 words or less? Okay. Fun fact about me, I play bass guitar in a band. 7.
Oh. Whoa, say that again. That was really good.
Yeah, I play bass guitar in a band.
Wow.
Amazing.
We'll talk about that after.
Yeah. And Dorian.
I love house music.
Ooh, yeah.
We have a couple musicians here. And what about you, Noelle?
Okay, I did not know this was going to happen. I ran a half marathon at Disney.
Yay.
That's awesome. So here's mine. I learned English by watching Oprah.
Oh, nice.
Oh, goodness.
So find me afterwards for the story. Let's get started. So it's interesting, I just came back from Web Summit in Vancouver last week. And there seems to be these 3 schools of thoughts with regards to AI. The first one is the whole utopia. You know, AI is great and we're gaining so much operations efficiency, which is true. And another positive from Web Summit was out of over 1,000 startup founders that were there, 44% were women-founded ventures. So that's super encouraging. The second school of thought tends to be the dystopia, right? Focusing on the whole ethical side of things, but also the job displacement and replacement side of things. But a lot of people really belong to this third school of thought, which is a bit of both, but at the end of the day, who cares? Is it helpful to me? Does Gen AI in particular make you more productive? Right, so the previous speaker mentioned, well, actually Susanna mentioned, the whole description was most likely written by ChatGPT. And same goes with many award entries. That, because I've been privileged to be a judge on the judging panel, and I can tell many of the awards entries were written with the aid of ChatGPT, but who cares? As long as it did not hallucinate all your achievements, and it helps you be more productive.
Maybe it'll help us brag.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
right?
So my first question to the panel is, let's start on a positive note. So can you think of one skill its value actually enhances while AI advances? And how does that play out in your own work? So Monique, I'm going to start with you.
I think one of the use cases that I've had is being able to take the notes, the bullets, the thoughts that don't necessarily need to be well constructed to throw into something and come back in from a generative AI perspective and write something for you that you're like, oh, that's not half bad. Actually, and you just need to tweak it. And we all know it is way easier to work with something that's already been written than to start from a blank piece of paper. So I would say, 10 times out of 10, whenever I've used a tool to help me get started, it's always been a better outcome that's been faster to get to.
Yeah. So from a human skill perspective, what would be that one skill that actually increases its value these days while we're all using Gen AI?
I would say for me, I've worked in a 9-to-5 setting for many years.
Yeah.
And last year I decided to take the time off to breathe. And with that, I was able to invest in a brand manager who helped me by sold me on her skills by saying, I can help you speak the best about you and you can still take a nap, which was really fascinating for me. So once we got through the process and she kind of walked me through prompts and things like that, whatever she spit back out in terms of the things I had aspirations to do, I looked at it and I wanted to cry because I was like, oh wow, I can do this for other people well and have people speak better of themselves. When it comes to me, I get frozen. So it's really helped me to figure out how do I own and am able to brag. I think this is a very apropos panel for now, but being able to really speak highly of myself and not feel any sense of, oh, I'm not that, I don't belong here, and have any of that kind of imposter syndrome. So it's actually helped me to get more confident in what I want to set out to do.
Yeah, so it really helps to up that confidence meter. So what about you, Noelle?
Oh, goodness. I think I would probably go to a really interesting exercise that I'm starting to see right now in schools even, where we are re-embracing a form of debate that the ability for, there's an organization called Tech Duels. I've done a few debates for them, one as a debater, and yes, I won, but the other as a judge twice. And what they do is they present to you two opposing ideas, and you have to pick a side. And it's funny, many of you don't know me yet, but now that you know me, I don't like to take sides. I like to kind of give everyone space to be who they are. But this ability to take a perspective and then kind of interestingly enough, be forced to switch that perspective and defend in the alternative of what you believe. So my example, my tech duel was autonomous AI versus human in the loop. Now some of you would know that I would instantly be like, anyone want to guess where I typically would sit? Human in the loop. Thank you. I'm glad. You might not even know me, but most of us, we would all probably pick that. But guess what I had to do? I had to, in 4 minutes, defend why humans are not necessary. And that skill that I had to use in order to create new pathways in my brain where I have laid into, I believe this, and I've almost forgotten why I believe it. I feel like that is a skill that AI is, maybe it's not forcing, but I'm certainly helping education systems realize the rubric for measuring student success is no longer going to be, did you check that box, did you fill out this report, but do you have this neuroplasticity to ask questions of things that you think you know, or worse, you think the AI knows. And so that's the skill. It's kind of critical thinking. How do you ask questions when maybe you're challenging even your own belief systems?
Yeah, the critical thinking skills, absolutely. And Monique, in our prior conversation, you actually used an example of your daughter.
So that just as a reminder to me around actually learning, right? How these new technologies can be used to our advantage in ways that we're not thinking about. And not only, I was reminded of this too just this week, where we as adults, no matter how old you are, don't realize that we've learned how to learn in the way that we've learned. And one of the things that I think AI and generative AI is really testing for us is to learn in new ways. And so I know exactly how I learn. I write notes. I have tried about 5 different times in my career to convert myself to digital, to be able to search every note. It never sticks if I don't write it down. My daughter, on the other hand, is a digital native. She, like many other digital natives, can't even sign a signature, right? Like her penmanship is horrible because she's grown up typing everything. So she retains information by typing it. And I fought her that the way she should learn, the way she should study, I had my method. And what I recently observed is how she's studying for her final exams in university using ChatGPT. And for me, it completely shifted the way I was thinking about this tool and how I was not using it to its advantages at all. First of all, I wanted to discourage her from using it because I, thought, oh, that's cheating. It's going to give you the answers. But the way that she queried with it, the way that she loaded course content into it, you probably all know it because you're like, yeah, we've been doing this for a long time, catch up. But she loaded in her course content and specifically queried it like a tutor to say, on slide 23 of this deck, I don't understand how my prof got to this answer. And the ChatGPT took her through the example and explained it to her in a way that she could catch it. But then went on, she said, well, I got the answer 21 and it says 37. Where did I go wrong? And it was able to determine probabilistically where it was that she went wrong. So for me, that was just a real learning moment, that the way that we think we're going to apply new tools or new technologies, and in this particular case for AI and Gen AI, it made me realize that I had to actually unlearn some of the things and the applications of how I'm going to use technology and find a different value set than I imagined it was going to be about.
Yeah, and well said. And I was actually having lunch conversation with some ladies, and then they shared an example of using ChatGPT to have just regular conversations. And someone said, you don't need to be polite to ChatGPT because it's just a machine. But on the contrary, you actually, what Gen AI is doing really well is mimicking human behavior. So when you're polite to it polites back to you. So to me, it really teaches empathy. Because sometimes when you're having a conversation with a human, they may not like the way you said it, but they may not tell you. It doesn't make you realize you have to do course correction for your behaviors. Versus a Gen AI tool, it actually mimics the way you say things. It won't be rude to you, but it will tell you, hey, would you like to say it differently? So I thought that is a really good example in terms of teaching empathy. Now, I wanted to be practical as well, because the reality is AI seems to be moving faster than what we can comprehend sometimes. And professionals at all levels, especially if you're entry level or at mid-stage of your career, sometimes you can't help but to feel stuck in your career. Oh my goodness, what do I do next? What if my job is going to be impacted? I wanted to hear some practical example from each of you about how to unstuck your career. So oftentimes we tell people, just reinvent yourself. And what does that really mean? What does that look like? What is a small, tangible first step someone can take to begin that journey? Noelle, would you like to start?
Sure. Unstucking yourself. I would say so I am not one who maybe prescribes or aligns with being stuck. I think the first thing that I would encourage all of you to do is get pretty clear on why you're doing what you're doing. Identifying your purpose. I used a practice a long time ago from a book. I'm an engineer by trade. I don't know how many of you know this, but I was an early member on Amazon Alexa. I was the only woman there for 2 years. I built lots of things people told me didn't need to be built in this world. But I was a woman, so I thought different, and it worked out. However, I eventually got to a point where I was working at another company, a big one called Microsoft, and they were like, and I wrote a Jerry Maguire letter. Do you know this action of sending a memo that gets you fired? So I did that, and I was proud to do it. But at that moment, it was less that I was stuck. I was kind of in this moment of like, what do I do now? And I've never been in a situation where I could not, I always say, feel the feels, then make a plan. And the reason I say that is because it's so important. When you feel stuck, often it's because you've kind of lost touch with why you're even there. What are you trying to do? I have a son with Down syndrome. I have 6 kids, but I have a son with Down syndrome. I am there to make the world better for him, to make a world that doesn't hide him from the world. And so when I got fired from Microsoft, I was on the curb with a box of my stuff on the phone with Apple having an interview. I didn't cancel that interview, even though I was like, terrible. I just got on. I was like, yeah, awesome. Yeah, I'm taking a walk outside, no problem. Because my purpose was bigger than any short-sighted manager who could not see my worth. Like, if you don't know what your purpose is, start writing every single day. Ask yourself that question. You actually know. It's just uncovering that voice within yourself. But that's what I find. Now when I'm on purpose, I never get tired. People always ask me, what about your energy? How do you have, I'm like, because I have a mission and it's so much bigger than me. I have no time for anything else. And so I wish that for all of you all.
That is so well said. So well said. And
Could I dovetail to that?
Sometimes when I'm having conversations with startup founders in particular, they're so focused on, oh my gosh, how am I going to do my pitch and pitch my MVP? And they're thinking, this is my product, this is my technology. But they lose sight of your MVP, the most unique and important one, is yourself. So you are your MVP, not your product.
Yeah.
And yes, go ahead, Dorian.
So I want you to repeat after me. I am not my job.
I am not my job.
It is a part of your identity, yes. But for you to closely identify it, if something were to happen and it didn't go in your favor, it could crush you. It could crush your ego. It could crush your spirit. So for me in a professional route, I've worked in different industries. And it's important for me to know whenever I start that job, I have the end in mind. Not necessarily to leave, but what mark do I want to make before I depart and move on to whatever's next for me. So when it comes to things like this, it's really grounding in yourself. And I think to the neuroplasticity point, it's also having a growth mindset.
Yeah.
So how can you evolve and adapt? Figure out what your strengths are. If you're not familiar with the Strengths Finder, try to take a version of it. Learn what are the top 5 things you're really good at, and recognize that even though you're in that job, you could possibly do many other things if you ever feel stuck or if it's time for you to move on to something else. But one thing that you identify with, you're probably a lot more than you realize about yourself.
And sometimes, very well said, and sometimes if your internal motivator is not strong enough, you kind of need that external push, right? So that's always the silver lining of being let go, for example. And Monique?
Yeah, and I think we're on a theme, right, of neuroplasticity and not defining yourself by your job. We sometimes get ourselves stuck because we've done the same thing for a long time, and that's how we've identified. We've identified how to learn. We identify with the role that we have. We go into a next opportunity thinking, I know how to do this job, but we can get stuck if that doesn't move us in the direction that we want to. And so I think we have to take a step back and think that probably the best ways to get unstuck is to unleash the creativity. And when you unleash creativity just by doing, getting your hands dirty. And we're in a day and age where we're hard pressed to say that, there may be a few people that really, really know something really, really better than you, but the chances are most people have learned it as they've gone along the way. And everything is so much more accessible today than it was in generations in the past that I would say get your hands dirty. If you're intimidated about learning AI or Gen AI or quantum computing for that matter, right? There is so much ability to learn and to learn in a way that is right for you. I watched my daughter learn in a way and I thought, geez, she's just not afraid to ask a question that she doesn't know. And how often are we afraid to ask a question that we think is going to be like, excuse me for asking the stupid question, right? Or we apologize for that. But I think getting unstuck is don't constrain yourself with that thinking. Get your hands dirty. Don't be afraid to learn. Everybody else in the room is probably in the very same situation. And with that, then I think unlocks creativity. And as you unlock that creativity, you're bound to get unstuck.
Yeah. And I wanted to survey the room here. So how many of you truly love your job? Please raise your hand.
What?
Okay, so it's about half of the room. How many of you?
Good, yeah.
Yeah. So everybody on Monique's team all raised their hands.
I do too.
And how many of you actually hate your jobs?
Be brave.
One
it's all
person.
right.
How many of you are sort of so-so? You can leave or you can still do it. Okay. So thank you for being honest. We only have 2 people that answered my last 2 questions, and the majority of you didn't. But my point is, unless you truly love your job, like the first 50%, why are you so concerned about AI is going to replace you? Right? Like, use the opportunity to reskill and upskill and find something you truly love. My next question to the panel is AI reflects the value of its creators. So bring it back to the theme of, to make it more equitable, responsible. How do we ensure, or how have you ensured that the equity and inclusion piece has been reflected in your AI initiatives from the start? So Dorian, would you like to start?
I'll go from a practical perspective. So I am not from Canada. This is my 3rd time here in 3 years. And I've had a chance to build a really beautiful community of folks, 2 of which are in the room. There's Kenza, who's standing in front of me, and Leonie from La Pastoral. But they are a nonprofit that encourages and helps immigrants and people that are Black Francophone speakers get adjusted to the country. And I would say in that vein, it's about building partnerships, cross-sector partnerships. So if you're in for-profit, that's great, but reach out to the people that could benefit from it or may not know about whatever it is you have to offer, and build a really strong coalition so that should money come to pass, should opportunities for people to build and grow, that you're able to lift each other up while you climb. So that's one particular practical example since October, which is when I met them. The opportunity to come and speak last year at an AI conference they had, that they basically talked about how Black Francophones were excluded. And in anything that's wealth building, you may not have people of color and other people that are marginalized. They're not thought of first. So what is it like to, if you're in a room and you're meeting, who's missing in the room? How do we bring them in? And how do I go reach out and find them and build relationship with them? Not for transaction, but a true relationship so that you can help each other grow.
Yeah, and use every opportunity to connect and network. I never know. Noelle.
Oh, hi. I think probably the focus of the question is around kind of responsibility. I wrote a book recently called Scaling Responsible AI from Enthusiasm to Execution. I firmly believe that when I go in, and I've talked to the top 100 brands in the world starting a few years ago. As a matter of fact, with Miss Barbara Pender, who's in the house somewhere, right here in front of me. We went and talked to some of the biggest companies when they were just getting started in AI. And I came to understand these AI models as, like, you wonder why I brought an emotional baby tiger on the stage? I think of them kind of like baby tigers, that when you go into a company, everyone's got a little AI model and they're kind of like, it's really cute, it's adorable, it's kind of fluffy. But no one in that room, unless you're like me, like I was, an early member of Alexa, I was the one who raised my hand and was like, so with this baby tiger we're building, how big is it going to get? Razor sharp teeth, what does it eat? How much does it eat? Where's it gonna live? Right? Like, no one wants to ask that question. Turns out, we, generally speaking, are good at asking these questions. We've been told our whole careers to not do that. I sometimes get called Debbie Downer or Negative Nelly, because I'm the one who's like, so baby tigers become big tigers and big tigers kill people, right? Right. So if you're gonna adopt a model into your organization, do you know how it could hurt people? And no one wants to ask that question, because in the beginning they're like, but it's so cute. I love it. I love the way it answers questions. I love the way I learn with it. But it could hurt people. And I've been on some of the largest models in the world and take full responsibility for the things that we did that helped humanity by the hundreds of thousands and millions. But I also take full responsibility for the hundreds of thousands of people who were hurt by the technology I built. Because I thought the thing and I was like, oh, I don't want to be that woman again. I now gracefully and confidently step into being the woman who's willing to ask the question, how is this going to hurt somebody? Yeah. And that's kind of how I keep things responsible. Thank you. Y'all, but we need you.
Yeah, asking questions is so important, because you're not going to learn the truth
Yes.
if you don't ask and if you don't keep asking, because sometimes the first attempt won't get you the whole truth. So Monique, I know at Sun Life you're driving many transformation projects, and you're also piloting or in production stage probably in some of the AI or Gen AI initiatives. Coming back to the question of embedding equity and diversity into these AI initiatives, and do share your insights.
Well, first of all, I'm so proud of the teams that we have at Sun Life. We really have a great measure of diversity in people and talent and thought leadership and experiences that we have. And I think one of the reasons why that's so important in an age of AI and Gen AI is that algorithms are written by humans, right? And even if they're coordinated by systems, there's humans in the loop, not only in the experience, but how the technology is being used. And we know unconscious bias exists. We know we need to bring diversity of perspective, asking the challenging questions, bringing empathy into the equation. And if we don't have diversity around the table when we're building those algorithms, when we're thinking about those areas, then we will build AI that has bias built in. So I think first and foremost, we've got to think about how we do that. Secondly, there's another part of your comments which was around, are there, who or what elements of your jobs do you not like, and should we be afraid of, AI taking those jobs? First of all, I'd say there's part of everybody's job they don't like, right? And so not to profess that everybody is always happy all of the time. I think that's a bit of a misnomer. But being able to use technology and use it responsibly to your advantage and without being fearful of it, digging in, getting your hands dirty. We know that there's fear out there that says, oh, well, AI and Gen AI is going to take people's jobs away, right? Should I be protective about that? But we've seen this before, right? Since the 80s, since the 90s, since we introduced the internet, it was supposed to destroy jobs. It was supposed to destroy bricks and mortar. But it maybe has diminished 3.5 million jobs. We know it's created 19 million jobs. Right, and so I think that as we think about this need to bring diverse perspectives around the table, to ask the tough questions, to find value that we're looking for that doesn't exist today, to use humans in the loop and machines to do the work that allows us to maybe have that mundane or highly repetitive work or massive data crunching work happen somewhere else so that we can get to the higher value work. I think that's the promise of where we can take this.
Yeah. Well said. I know Christina's kind of egging us off the stage. I was going to ask everybody to share a very quick takeaway. So unless you are really very quick. Are you quick?
I feel like everyone should be very quick.
Yeah. Go.
I would say just make sure you include those that are marginalized at the table so you can make good decisions from the beginning and them not be an afterthought.
Yes.
Never stop learning.
I was very quick. Yeah, I agree. Never stop learning. I would say, the reason that I became successful and do what I do today is because of many of the women in this room. Lauren is in the house. Like the women sitting next to you, you don't know them now, but in 2 years, every one of us will be doing something different and something new. And so if you can just say hello, connect on LinkedIn, you never know. And I invite you, connect with me. My network is your network. I know some cool people. If I can introduce you, that is the best gift I can give you.
Yeah, well said. And my key thing is that even though AI is shaping the future of work, we are shaping the future of AI. So we don't need to be like machines to thrive in the world shaped by AI. We need to be more deeply human. And what does that mean? Keep asking bold questions, keep leaning in, keep learning, keep experimenting, keep networking, and keep advocating. Because the future of AI needs all of our collective voice. With that, thank you very much.
Thank you.